He's got the wall all prepped for me, and we're going to begin installing. When I put this up, I originally went through the holes that were identified with arrows. I did that so when I put the next plate up there, I'll put it in the exact same spot so it lines up just like the pattern did. You'll see extra holes everywhere. You can use those, but I started with the ones that had the actual arrows on them. Here's the thimble coming through the wall, which is what the line sets are going to come through the wall so they don't get cut up. This thimble's a protection in there. I'm going to mark it so I can cut it off flush with the building. I'm just going to pull it out so it's snug, and I'm going to trace a circle around this. And I'll push it back through the other side and cut it off. All right, I put the thimble in, and once I cut it, as you can see, I've reduced it down to the thickness of the wall. Put that in place, and this hole should always drain at a slight angle to the outside, so the water will continue to fall. When I set this up, I originally drilled my holes out, and now I'm setting the level on here. I want to drain to the right, because that's where my line sets are going out. If they were going to the left, I'd want to drain left. But I want all water to fall to the outside. So I'm going to have this up slightly. So I'm going to go perfectly level, and then raise up a little bit on the left-hand side, forcing it out the right side. So this is where I want to set my screws. Since I have a solid piece of wood, 4 screws will be fine in this one. If you don't have a solid piece behind you, then sometimes I place some more screws throughout it, just as a precaution, to balance out the weight. These systems don't weigh very much. The air handlers are pretty light. And that's more than enough. Now I'm going to grab the air handler. I'm going to push the lines through and hang it up here. And then all the work will be on the outside until I'm ready to come back inside. As you can see, this was our pattern. We went through with the hole. We did dead center, drilled it out, came back in. We knew where the holes were going to go for the initial alignment because we had this up here and drew the holes originally, so the pattern was set. I knew exactly where this would go. And that keeps everything flowing for you. So when I crawled down from the ladder, I took my bit off. It's a 3.5-inch bit. I had to pull all these units out. I pulled each one out. This was my cardboard. This is the wood I went through. This is some of the insulation that was behind. And this is the plate from the outside, the metal. That's how thick we ran through, and that was what our thimble went through this. So now we're ready to hang the air handler. All right, I'm preparing the air handler to be pushed through the thimble. And what I'm doing first is untwisting these wires on here. So the line set will push through, or so the next, these copper wires are on the back, and I need to bring them out so that they go through the wall. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to massage them gently to move them so that there's no issues of kinks or anything. You don't want to get too rapid with these. You don't want to push too much on them. And you want to always check and make sure everything's okay. They already have a wire protection around them to keep them from kinking. But just from past experience, I just go very gently with them just to make sure I don't have any issues. All right, and these are all prepped and ready to go through the wall. So I'll toss this over my shoulder or under my arm here for a moment. When I get up on top, I'm going to be pushing this inside through the hole and aligning I don't know why that piece pulled out a little bit. And then I'll be lining these up. These little clamps on the top is where it'll hook on the bracket. And then on the bottom, you'll see down here these little notches right in here. These are notches that will clamp when it hooks into the wall at the bottom of the plate. So let's climb on up there and put this in place. to push this wire through. The thimbles in place. All this wire will drop to the outside. This is the communication line that's going to hook up to the condenser outside the unit. Now if you notice, and I don't know if you can see this, but the bottom of this thimble is a flat piece. You want that flat piece to be on the very bottom. That way when the air handler is in place, it cannot be seen. I'll position myself here, angle this over a little bit. Now these things all have to go through together. All right, so these are going through right now. And I'm lowering this down into position there. Okay, I've got these lined up right over top my little hooks. And I just secured it into place. Take off this tape, get this thing set up. Lift this up so I know to remember to come back to it. And this portion of the inside is taken care of.